I am Sam Otten, and joining me is Jason Book. Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, Sam. How are you?
Not too bad. Jason is writer and artist on the webcomic meandhimcomic.tumblr.com. So check that out if you've got a chance. And we, in this issue, are going to be talking about one of our favorite comic books, which is Justice League, the ongoing series from DC Comics. We're going to be reviewing issue number 47, which is part 7 of the Darkseid War story arc by Jeff Johns. In this issue, Jason Fabok returns to art duties after taking a few issues off. So it's good to see him back. And this one is kicking off what Jeff Johns calls Act 3 of the big Darkseid War story. And this one's called Gods of Justice. So we've had the Darkseid War between Darkseid and Anti-Monitor. Darkseid gets killed. Then we have the sort of Act 2 where different members of the Justice League are picking up the sort of new god mantles and kind of separating a little bit, but dealing with their own kind of godlike issues. And now we're starting to move things through Act 3. So we've got a lot of things kind of going down. Wonder Woman and Superman are having their interactions here. We've got the Earth 3 crime syndicate is coming in and maybe have to be teaming up with Justice League. And that includes Power Ring going back to the crime syndicate side of things and Cyborg turning back to the grid. So this is kind of harkening back to Forever Evil type stuff. And Grail has the anti-life equation and she wants Steve Trevor for some reason. So what of that jumped out to you from this issue, or what was your overall impression of the issue?
Well, first of all, having Fabok back on art duties made a big difference for me. Like, really, as we've said before, when this is collected, I feel like they could have almost jumped over a few chapters just to get to this point again. So I like that he was back. I like the interaction between Green Lantern and Batman. I kind of feel like we're still waiting for something to happen, though. Like, this could have been a little tighter. Like, I think in total it's going to end up being probably like 12 issues at least. And I would like to see it being a little more reined in. But I did like the scenes between Superman and Wonder Woman. The crime syndicate coming in, I've seen that before. The art's nice for it. Unless you're going to do something different with those characters coming into the fold, we don't need more characters to kind of make this story already, it's already interesting to me. So I'm going to see how it plays out. I like where it's going, but I just think it could be a little more streamlined.
Yeah, I agree with you on the streamlining. It's because the last issue, I remember we talked about how, like the villain is sort of not really present
Yes.
and hasn't been for a while,
Totally.
it seems like.
Yeah.
And in the last issue, we had Grail get the anti-life equation, but it was just like one page of like,
Right.
okay, now she's got the anti-life equation,
Yeah.
but nothing really moved forward with the villain there. And then in this one, it's kind of the same. Like, it just reminds us that Grail has the anti-life equation, and then she just says, I need Steve Trevor. But again, the villain is kind of absent and just barely inches ahead. And we do know that like the Anti-Monitor is returning as Mobius, which is, kind of his other name or other kind of identity. But it's all just sort of like, remember there's a villain, but the villain isn't really present in the issue.
Yeah, and like some of the stuff is happening in these one-shots, which for a good, kind of I know it's not a crossover, but it has that event feel to it. You shouldn't have to read the one-shot material to be able to get the most out of the story. I mean, we haven't really even seen Lex Luthor again. It's like he looked like he was Darkseid or something like that, Like, I'd like to see more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right. And hopefully 48 gets a little bit more of the momentum going. I agree with you, though, that it was nice to see Fabok's art back.
Yeah.
I think he's really strong. I really like his Wonder Woman, as I've said before, and she's a
Yes.
big part of this story. And now with Big Barda in things, too, it's nice to see Fabok's take on Barda.
Yeah, I love seeing the new God characters, just in the new 52 in general, because they are always really unique in the DC universe.
Yeah, and I knew I was happy to see Fabok back as soon as I like turned to page 2 and I saw Green Lantern sitting in that like leather chair
Yeah, that's
to
pretty
kind
good.
of mock and make fun of Batman in his chair.
Yeah, I
thought-
honestly, I love the interaction between those two characters. Like, if they ever do a Brave and the Bold type team up book again, that one would be great. Those two together for sure.
Yeah, they've been a really good pair. I always look forward to their scenes in this story, and they've had some good ones for several issues now.
Yeah.
You mentioned the crime syndicate coming into it, so I agree with you that we didn't really need more characters. We had enough to already go on, and some that really aren't used as well as they could have so far. But one thing that could be a new spin on the crime syndicate is Superwoman, bearing child. And if that
yeah.
child comes in, it might add a new dimension to it. And it also could tie in with the themes of Grail and Grail's mother, and going back to the prelude to Darkseid War, where we actually saw like the birth of Grail and stuff.
True.
So if we
Yeah.
have another scene with like Superwoman and her birth, and if that ends up being like an echo, that could be worth it. But until then, we don't know for sure if it's worth it.
Yeah, they kind of need to pull these things together. Like a lot of this stuff is referencing stuff that happened many issues ago. So, yeah, I'd like to see that kind of thing happen. I feel like a lot of these DC books, except for Batman, they're really kind of slowing the pace down because they're waiting for the big punch of issue 50.
Yeah, so it might be like where if it was a different time, they would have planned it out and it would have been an 8-issue story, but
Yeah.
because they want to get to 50, they make it, we'll stretch it to an 11-issue or a 12-issue story.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I know DC moved like from New York to LA or whatever, and they had stuff planned for to kind of fill shipping schedule holes that they had, and I wonder if some of these interludes in this storyline and others were kind of meant to help them play catch up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. Some mix of those different factors. But I liked the issue overall, even though again it didn't get the momentum really kick-started like we sort of were hoping for. But to me, it did have enough there that it's keeping me as sort of a positive mentality toward the story arc.
Yeah.
And I liked some of Jeff Johns' touches, like I liked the Batman Green Lantern stuff. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Superman, because I don't really like the sort of, Superman is bad and negative and he's dying, because that's been done before, but I'll see where it goes next.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I did like the kind of writing flourish of Superwoman singing the lullaby to her womb, and how it was kind of like when she talks about the golden ring, there's actually the Green Lantern power ring, and then when she talks about the broken glass, there's actually like the dome of glass, and when she talks about the cart, there's actually like the Mobius chair.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought those were like nice writing touches where I think Jeff Johns was kind of patting himself on his back. So there are those things to keep me happy as I'm reading it. But hopefully 48 to 49 to 50 really ramps things up and starts to bring things together in good ways.
Yeah, this is definitely a step in the right direction, so I'm looking forward to that.